This is a Craftsman 580.753400 pressure washer that I may buy from the owner for 50 bucks. Should I buy it? Hello everyone, Big Allen Cox here. Welcome to the shop where I look at and attempt to repair various lawn and garden power equipment. A friend of mine has an aunt who wanted me to trim some hedges and limbs around her house. Well, while I was there, she mentioned she had a power washer she could no longer use and wanted to sell. She had this unit stored in a climate-controlled storage room in the basement where this unit is set for around 5 years. She said it ran when her deceased husband stored it. I told her when something like this sits for a long time, it can develop a lot of problems. And before I even made an attempt to do any hard pulls on this unit, there's things that must be done as to not wreck it. Sitting 5 years, it's not just going to run, and I'd be a buyer at maybe around 50 bucks. She told me to take it and look at it and make my decision, so that was cool. So the question is, should I buy this Craftsman Power Washer for 50 bucks? This is a 15-inch surface cleaner, and it handles a maximum of 3,300 psi, and it's rated for 2,500 to 3,300. And my Troy build is actually 2,850, so it's got just enough scrub to run it, and it does okay with that. But it would be nice to see what it would do with some real power running through it. This is what one of those units look like. You see they got the jets on the bottom, and what this does is rotate at a very high speed and concentrate all this water in here. It cleans very well, or at least I've had pretty good luck with this one. Well, let's get into this Craftsman and see what we need to do to bring it back to a usable unit. 5/8 socket, we'll take this spark plug out. And that is a Champion RC12YC. It's got some carbon buildup on it, but I think I can maybe still clean that up and use it. I'm going to take some of this PB Blaster. I usually use Marble Mystery Oil, but I don't know where it's at right now, and it would be hard to really pour down in that hole where the spark plug is. So I'm going to use some of this and spray into that cylinder and let that sit the rest of the day. You don't have to put a whole lot in there, just spray it in there and let it sit. Then I'll replace my spark plug. You don't have to tighten it up, you just don't want any debris to fly down in there while that's open. I'm going to take a slot screwdriver and remove this air box real quick. That air filter's not too nasty, but it could use a new one. There's also a pre-element in these that sits in this cover. I could use a little washing out, probably no, I could use a replacement. That's disintegrating. And they start doing like that right there, and chunks start falling off, get rid of them, because that'll be sucked into your carburetor, and maybe some in there already. And while that cylinder's soaking in penetrant, You can also take some carbon choke cleaner and spray it in that carburetor and let that sit in there too for a length of time. So I'll let both of these sit in this thing for today, and I'll come back this evening and see what's up. Okay, it's been a couple of days. I'm gonna put a little bit of air in the tires. I need to actually move this thing to a different location so I can mow this grass here. Before I try starting this unit, I'm going to make sure there's oil and stuff. You know what I mean? Some crude. Actually, that's about 3/4 full. No gasoline smell. Oh, actually don't feel too bad. May be able to just add to that. The water pump also has a oil level. You want to check that and make sure that's not dry before you try any kind of starting thing. And this takes 10W30. It does need some in it. It is low. But I think it has enough for me to start it and not tear it up or nothing. I took the plug out and put some spray lubricant down in that cylinder a couple of days ago. That's the spark plug that I took out on the left. I found something that looks a little better to test with here. The plug is a RC12YC, pretty common Briggs plug. This thing may smoke a little bit if it does fire off, because I do have lubricant sprayed in the cylinder like I said. But the main thing is I gotta hear it fire off, number one, if I am gonna buy it. I just want to pull this off and hear if the engine runs. There's absolutely no fuel in the tank. It's completely dry. So maybe whoever used it last run the fuel out, hopefully. My leg was right there at the exhaust. Hey, it did fire up. Sounded kind of good there. Well, what I'm going to do now is add some fuel to that tank and see if we have a working carburetor. Woman's deceased husband was a farmer, so he probably knew a little bit about taking care of stuff. The tank is completely dry, which is a good thing, a very good thing, and it's clean. I recommend using a 90 octane ethanol free gas, especially in something like this. You do want to run them out of fuel before you store them, but at least any fuel that is left in there won't be an ethanol based fuel, which ethanol contains water, which in turn screws your carburetor up. Plus you can keep them sitting a little bit longer in between use. The shelf life is a little bit longer on pure gas. Well, with that said and done, let's see if this thing will run more than a few seconds. This has a fuel shutoff valve. I'm going to turn that to on. Might add just a little bit of choke. I'd like to see if this is going to run more than a few seconds. Now, you never want to run these very long without water attached to them, because you can burn the pump up. So I just want to run it for a few seconds here and see if it'll continually run. Okay. I found a better looking air filter in my stash, but I have nothing for that. That's just deteriorating quick. Broccoli, anyone? But for now, this will do just fine. Actually, in my other one, I don't even think I've ever run a pre-filter in it. And more or less, when you're spraying around with these things, it ain't going to be too dusty around you. At least not for very long. These filters sit in these air boxes like this. Then you have 3 tabs right here that go into these slots. Now I'm at the full mark. This pump really needs some. It's barely touching the dipstick. My funnel ain't exactly gonna fit there. Okay, I have some purple power. Yeah, guess the purple makes it have power. Got some purple power here mixed up in a washer jug there, windshield washer jug, but that'll work out just fine. And I'm going to see if the soap dispenser works. I'm going to start out with the green tip, the lowest pressure tip first, and see if I get any kind of pressure out of that pump. So let me connect the water hose and connect the gun and see what happens. Another thing I'm going to do is take some of this PB Blaster and spray this inlet connector here. If they haven't been used in a while, it's a good idea. Plus it keeps them working good. I will also spray my wand tip here. Start out with my green tip. This unit has a lot longer length hose on it, and a better quality one than my Troy built has. The gun seems to be working. Let me give it a start and see what we get. Turn the switch on. am getting pressure. At a 10 millimeter here, I'm gonna take this fitting off where the siphon hose is and make sure that's clear. I better turn the water off first, huh? And release my water pressure. Have a spray in the face. Listen to this idiot coming. Get on that mala! You ain't riding it fast enough. Your goober's too short. Okay. Yeah, right. Okay, I've taken that out, and I think in the midst of taking that out, it shot my little check ball in the Lord knows where. But these will have a little spring, and I think a check ball that sits down in there. And I have lost that, and so I'm not going to have any soap bubbles to clean my truck. But anyway, I'm going to finish pressure washing my truck, and I know that the pump works. I know this unit is capable of working. Okay, I'm just going to tighten that back up for now. I think this thing runs very well, as a matter of fact. I can tell it certainly has a lot of power. Even with the green nozzle. Man, how often do you get a chance like this? Not only a good price, but a chance to try it out first. Most of these you see at yard sales for 20 to 50 bucks. You don't even know if they work or not, and you got to take a chance on it if you do buy it. So I think I will buy it. It's definitely got that I haven't run in 4 years smell. Now, before I run it any further, I do need to change the air filter elements. I need to change the oil and the oil in the pump to the right thing, 10W30. I might put a new spark plug in it for good measure, and I'm going to order the soap dispenser mechanics, because that valve is just toast where that line hooks to it there, and it just needs to be replaced. The engine starts right up and runs good. The pump works. It's just a good overall unit. It's not missing any parts, and that will sure help me down the road. I will order everything I need for this. I will do another video repairing the soap mechanics and the engine maintenance. I'm Big Allen Cox. Thanks for joining me, and more to come from this unit and others. Blessings from my shop to yours.